Greetings, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Liberty Pole Radio. I am your host, the Illustrious Narrator, and let's get to today's topics. U.S.S. Trump. The new aircraft carrier that the U.S. Navy is currently building will be going under a name change. Originally, the carrier was going to be named after Pearl Harbor war hero, Cook First Class Petty Officer Doris Miller, who shot down 2 Japanese Zeros while using an anti-aircraft Browning 50 caliber machine gun on board the U.S.S. West Virginia. Miller was awarded the Navy Cross for bravery for not only shooting down the 2 planes, but he aided his mortally wounded captain, Mervyn Bennington. Trump, who never served in the military and struggled in military school during his teen years, when he was eligible for the draft during the Vietnam War, the Orange Clown received several deferments due to his bone spurs. This fat, greasy, 12 Big Mac eating, Diet Coke swilling, Adderall snorting scumbag does not deserve to take away this honor from a real war hero. Trump is just a sweaty, diaper dumping, fat back smelling, stank breath, child diddler creep who doesn't even know where he is half the time. He should do the honorable thing and rescind this request. The United States has a $40 trillion deficit. Breaking news occurred over the week. America's debt is now over $40 trillion. And you know what? Over a third of it has occurred in the past 10 years. Whose fault is it, you may ask? The answer is the MAGA Party and its ringleader, El Presidente himself, Mango Mussolini, who has given so many tax breaks to the Epstein class that it has pretty much killed our economy. People like Musk, Thiel, Bezos, and Zuckerberg have made billions of dollars off Americans, and the MAGA Party and their bootlicker voters have enabled them to do so. While corporations haven't paid taxes in years due to loopholes created by said party, the average working class individual suffers. 21st century problems require 18th century solutions. This has to stop, and where are the GOPers whose whole platform was for so-called fiscal conservative economy? They have had that stupid belief that lowering taxes for the rich creates jobs for everybody, and their window-licking supporters espouse this idea. It's all bullshit at every chance they get. Dude, what do rich people do when they get money? They stuff it under their mattress and ask for more. Just like all this other nonsense about tariffs. We have been through this bollocks for well over 100 years. These tariffs have caused a few economic depressions, and the GOP has lost several elections because of this. I'm just so tired of this winning. The United States and Canada enter a trade war. Speaking about tariffs, Canada, America's next-door neighbor and longtime ally, have entered a trade war with our country. Trump's handlers, who have been pushing for huge tariffs on imported goods to make up for the lack of taxing the Epstein class, has imposed a 50% tariff on Canadian products, such as wood, paper, liquor, and other goods. The Orange Clown, who tried to force Canada to no longer promote Quebecois and the French language in general, wants Canada to go along with the United States' international trade deals with only America's interests in mind and not to industrialize key industries. Prime Minister Mark Carney pretty much told El Presidente to get bent. In response, Trump also wants Canada to not sign any trade deals with other countries and to give the United States exclusive deals to minerals. He's also trying to run America like one of his many failed businesses, and so far he has achieved this goal, and hopefully people will wake up and overthrow this orange menace through the ballot box this coming November. We'll be right back.
They're old-fashioned chocolates and buttery caramels and Quality Street right now. Yes, old-fashioned chocolates and buttery caramels in Quality Street right now. Smooth milk chocolates, delicious mouthfuls, buttery caramels melt in your mouthfuls in Quality Street, right now.
The USPS push to end mail-in voting continues despite a court order. The U.S. Postal Service has laid out their plans to end mail-in voting in certain blue states despite being ordered not to by a federal judge. Despite the Orange Clown voting by mail, I guess it's okay if the God Emperor does it himself. The Postal Service on Friday published regulations that would restrict mail-in voting. its latest effort to comply with President Trump's call to restrict the popular practice just months before the midterm elections. In a 95-page final rule, the Postal Service clarified how it would carry out an executive order Mr. Trump signed in March, which sought to restrict mail ballots and to create a state-by-state list of citizens to help determine voting eligibility. If the regulations are enacted, the Postal Service said that it would not deliver mail ballots in states that do not share voter data with the federal agency. Under the new rule, the agency would review every envelope for compliance with the new standards before accepting ballots into their system. This review would include checking that the recipient was enrolled with the Postal Service to receive a mail ballot and that ballot envelopes meet certain specifications. Trump's executive order was largely blocked by federal courts this summer, and the Postal Service said that its rule published on Friday that it would not take actions to implement the rule specifically for the 2026 election unless the Supreme Court rules in the administration's favor. In a filing to the court, the Justice Department said that the government would wait until it issues a ruling. The gubernatorial election is a few months away, and it's too late for the Postal Office to try and enforce this ruling, at least for now. So the Supreme Court allows Trump to continue building his ballroom. El Presidente has been given a temporary reprieve by the Supreme Court to continue building his massive ballroom next to the White House. This compound supposedly will just be for a ballroom, but many insiders believe that he's constructing a massive underground bunker/data center. Trump, who turned 80 back in June and has been suffering from a myriad of health problems, vows that he will run for a third term despite being unable to because of the U.S. Constitution. I have a feeling that he's going to cosplay as his idol, Adolf, and won't leave the ballroom bunker when it's completed. His Epstein-class handlers most likely have a weekend at Bernie situation, and they will pretend he's still alive while giving orders through his subordinates. Trump has turned the White House into a tweaker's yard with all this half-constructed shit laying around and all that dead grass, junky front yard that has an MMA arena along with some tacky gold-painted lettering in the front that says White House and Oval Office. Dude reminds me of one of those old folks whose house is filled to the rim with cheap knick-knack furnitures and fixtures. Have you seen it on TV when he does his press conferences from the Oval Office? Good Lord, all that gold-painted spray-on plastic trim and gold-colored wallpaper really hurts my eyes. So where's Mitch McConnell? Speaking about Weekend at Bernie's, where's old Mitchy boy? The old turtle has been released from the hospital and supposedly recovering at home, and has communicated with his fellow MAGAites, politicians, or the press. I guess he's hard at work rehabbing after his little fall. I bet the dude's at home hooked up to a machine and can't even move or speak. The Republicans really want to hold on to that seat despite missing work for what seems like weeks now. And now, a public service announcement.
The Lone Ranger and Tonto are camped in the woods just outside of town when suddenly the great horse Silver rears and...
Kimasabi.
Yes, Tonto. Silver senses trouble. Come on. Quickly, the masked rider of the plains and his faithful Indian companion head into the thick underbrush.
Smell smoke, Kimasabi.
Over there, Tonto. Hurry. Suddenly, they come upon a clearing, and there, just inches from the hanging branches of a giant tree, a smoldering campfire. Quick, Tonto. Grab that empty bucket. As Tonto hurries to a nearby stream, the Lone Ranger stirs the fire until the embers cool. Then Tonto returns and drowns the fire twice. Good work, Tonto.
But what about men who start fire?
Well, Tonto, they have a choice. Either they'll put an end to careless fires, or they'll put an end to the forest. Let's go.
Hello, Silver! Away!
A public service on behalf of the Forest Service, State Foresters, and the Ad Council.
The diaper handler is nutso. Natalie Harp, Trump's diaper handler and personal assistant, is completely head over heels in love with the Mango Menace. El Presidente is also infatuated with her because she looks a lot like a younger version of his daughter, Ivanka. But Natalie has a crazy crush on him and has totally written love letters and long communications intended for him. The problem is Trump is pretty much a functioning illiterate and doesn't even read. He has documents and memos written for him in basic grade school English in large font. Here are some of Natalie's letters to the dude. Dear Mr. President, I'm sorry, I thought I was the only one left behind last night and had no idea Margot's car was pulled over and sent back to the airport since I was alone in the van outside customs without my passport. I panicked, and I should have called the Secret Service instead of you. Oh, I'm so sorry. I was an embarrassment walking the course in Scotland. The first day I was told there were no carts and people walked, which is why I walked. The second day I was specifically asked why. I forgot who his name was, but one of the main people who worked there. If I could continue walking and tell any other girls who would head out there to do the same to spare the course any more carts. If there's anything I have done to cause you trouble, please forgive me. I know that some people have said I haven't been texting them back, and there have been some international cell issues. John was having technical issues on the phone, so asked me to help him out. I want things to always be right between us. I know I have been distracted all week, forgetting to eat throughout the days and forgetting to sleep and only catching a couple hours at a time. I haven't been myself, dwelling on the past and the pain of losing my dad, and I starting to let the remarks of people who haven't bothered me before to get to me, not because I care what others think, but because I see myself being lowered in your eyes and good opinion. That is a fear, you see, because I never want to bring you anything but joy. I'm sorry I lost my focus. You are all that matters to me. I don't want to ever let you down. Thank you for being my guardian, my protector in this life. That's what I wanted to use this card for. When you saw me at the cash register and once again did what you didn't have to do and gifted me with mementos of this trip of a lifetime, a coming of age, I will return a better person. I have to sign off now as the cars are leaving. See you soon. With love, Natalie. And here's a second letter to Trump. Dear Mr. President, now this is the note I wanted to write, but apology needed to come first. I have learned so much about myself on this trip. I always knew coming home to my roots would be enlightening, but I have no idea how much. For the first time in I don't know how long, you forced me to unplug. We could be out on the course with no machines and even forget what time it was. I didn't even have to be the human printer. I could take time to enjoy good conversation and still get all my work done at the end of the day. In fact, I even had time to take long morning and evening walks to enjoy the sunrise and sunset, though I did forget to eat and sleep. With so much thinking time, I confess, it did have a slight negative effect at times that I know you picked up on, but by the end results, I believe will be worth it. I had no idea how rapidly I was approaching burnout and starting to envy those whose only job seems to be to talk with you and look pretty. I want that job. So many times I've been trying to stay afloat with all that's coming in for you. I look like a hunchback who didn't have time to freshen up. At least you know what I should look like. Plus, I miss the days when you used to call during my talk show days, and we would talk about everything and nothing. I want to go back to that synergy. We shouldn't have to talk about work all the time. I always felt like an in-betweener, somewhere between staff and those who enjoy talking on the plane or at dinner, because that's who I used to be to you when I was a talk show host. As much as I hated that job, I wish I could hear every conversation, because that's when you're having a good time getting away from all of it, at least for a few moments. But after going through all this self-analysis, my conclusion, I need to reunite with my past self, with my current, into a better version which will make you proud. And please, when I fail, will you tell me? You have the absolute right to cuss me out, if needed to be, when I deserve it, because no one knows or cares about me more. Thank you for always being there for me. I'll never forget when you made that promise to me after losing my dad. I know how happy he is right now that I did get to go to Scotland and Ireland, as he always wanted for me, to modify a classic. I could not have parted with you to anyone less worthy, and I will add, it is I, who was unworthy. P.S. My hands look worse in Scotland and Ireland because the cold turns old scars purple. Still on the road to recovery. Always, Natalie. Natalie Harp is a devout evangelical Christian and was homeschooled. Her father, Robert Harp, who she mentioned several times in the letters, was a real estate broker who founded Global Hotel Network, a consultancy for travel companies, in 2000. He later killed himself in July of 2020, and according to her brother, Natalie has been heartbroken by her father's death and was been looking for a father figure ever since, and looks up to Trump as a father. In 2020, she was an anchor for One America News Network, and that's where she met President, and they talk about their time together in the press in one of her letters. She's also full of conspiracies and strongly believes that Trump won the 2020 election and that he defeated Joe Biden. 2 years later, she left the network after DirecTV refused to carry the channel. She was one of the people that got fired. And then months later, she became an aide for Trump in his 2024 presidential campaign. Those in Trump's inner circle are very wary of Natalie Harp and have tried many times to separate the two, but Trump and Natalie have become inseparable as of recently. We'll be right back.
Hey, all you jive hustlers, you stone foxes, you mean dudes. Watch out, 'cause Slaughter's back in town. Jim Brown is Slaughter, the baddest cat that ever walked the earth. In Slaughter, he tore up the mob good. Now they want him bad. They're gonna get Slaughter or get slaughtered. In Slaughter's Big Ripoff.
If the hit man don't get you, then Slaughter will.
Music composed and performed by James Brown, the godfather of soul.
You better know it.
Slaughter's Big Ripoff from American International. Rated R, under 17, not admitted without parent. Slaughter's Big Ripoff. It's hot.
You better know it.
Oh yes, Slaughter. Slaughter's Big Ripoff, the sequel to Slaughter. Slaughter's Big Ripoff came out in 1973 and it stars Jim Brown as Slaughter. And Ed McMahon plays the evil crime boss in here, which you have to be seen to be believed. I mean, he just chews scenery, smacks women around, and acts like a badass. Well, until Slaughter gets his hands on him. And don't forget to listen to the soundtrack by James Brown. It really makes the movie with this funky music. I like James Brown. James Brown's cool. Now let's get back to the show. Now we end today's show with a follow-up to what happened to the U.S.S. Abraham Lincoln. The ship has been out at sea for over 300 days, and there pretty much has like no supplies, no food, dirty conditions, and morale is extremely low. Why hasn't this ship been able to refuel and restock its supplies? Because during the Epstein War, Iran bombed its naval supply base. And due to Pete Kegsbreath and El Presidente not wanting to know about the true damage that Iran has caused in the Persian Gulf, they decided to keep it under wraps. And a lot of MAGA bootlickers on the social medias have posted AI videos and AI memes mocking the poor sailors that are stuck on that aircraft carrier with little to no food and unsanitary conditions. This is ridiculous. The day of reckoning will be coming soon for Pete Kegsbreath and Marco Rubio and all the other underlings of President Trump, with that creep J.D. Vance with his guy liner and his god-awful makeup. I don't know who's more dolled up, J.D. Vance or Pete Kegsbreath. I mean, Pete Kegsbreath has a makeup room in his office at the Pentagon. Secretary of War, my ass. I leave you now with some words from Sophie Scholl, who once said, "How can we expect righteousness to prevail when there is hardly anyone willing to give himself up individually to a righteous cause. That concludes today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like it, don't forget to subscribe. Take care now. Cheerio.